there's something I do every morning, and I would just call it my morning routine at this point because I do it without fail, and that is read my Bible. But then I read my Bible in 3 parts. Every day I read one chapter from the beginning, the middle, and the end, and I have to follow that sequence. The beginning being from Genesis, everybody knows. The middle being from, my middle is Isaiah, like my Bible's middle is Isaiah, and the end is the New Testament, so from Matthew. At this point, I am at Deuteronomy, Hosea, and Peter, First Peter. But there's this thing that happens. Sometimes I don't even remember what I read. So I could be reading a chapter twice, and it's only when I get to a certain point, probably in the middle of the chapter, I realize that, oh, I read this yesterday. You know that kind of thing, yeah? Well, this happened to me today. I was reading First Peter chapter 4, and I did not know I had read it yesterday because everything I was reading seemed like new. But then when I got to, I think, verse, was it 5 or 6, where he was talking about you are no longer your old self that did lust, orgies, and all that stuff. It hit me. Oh, I had read this yesterday. Now, this is what I came to say. Why is that the part that jogged my memory? Why did all the beautiful things he said about Jesus Christ, he said so much about Jesus in the beginning, how he died and all of that beautiful stuff of Jesus. Why did I not remember at that point that I had read it? Why did I get to the point where he's calling out the sins of the flesh that I was like, oh, it jogged my memory? I think it goes to show how many of us are conditioned to kind of like exalt sin. A lot of us are conditioned to place sin here so much that whenever we hear of it, it gets our attention, it gets our focus. And not in a way that you want to do it, even if you don't want to do it. Because you could see the most holy person, the most put together person that you've ever seen. Yeah, they follow Jesus, they read their Bible, but they could still be ruled by sin. I think you're looking at an example of a person who was either a slave or, should I say, a servant to sin. And not in the sense that, oh, I was always doing it, but in the sense that when I hear of it, I am either triggered, like, ew, why would you do that? Or I am like scared, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I don't know if you understand. I don't know how to make it make sense. But it's like our minds have a way. Okay, this is how I can put it, yeah? When you are, say, if you follow a lot of these news blogs, you would see that you are only either excited, like very excited, or should I say, and either very repulsed or repulsive by bad news. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. It's like there's something that happens in our mind, like there's a different type of firework that pops up when we see bad news and when we see gossip or just terrible stuff. A car hits someone, someone's head is crushed, someone's boyfriend cuts off her body parts. Those are the kind of news you would see has so much interaction, so much likes, comments, and the likes. That's what it's not just happening. It's because a lot of us are conditioned that way. We are conditioned to not be triggered, exactly, triggered positively or negatively by bad news, by sin, by terrible stuff. And when I sit and, because I said I'm reading the Bible from beginning and middle and end, you see in the beginning when God gave all of the laws, and then at the end you start seeing when after Jesus died, his apostles were literally saying this, like, the law cannot make you perfect. Grace can. It's only grace can, like your faith, that can make you perfect. And I'm like, I get it now. Our minds are just conditioned to somehow place sin here and what matters here. You would see that if you hear that a celebrity died, you would see more comments and likes and interaction than if you see before that probably the celebrity was celebrating something or just stuff like that, you know? our mind, there is something going on, there is something wrong, there's probably an injury, or should I say a mindset, something that has been set in our mind that kind of like makes us attracted in a way to bad news, to bad stuff, because there's so much good happening as well, and we're not paying attention to it. I mean, we pay more attention to marriages that crash than the marriages that are actually doing well. I know a lot of marriages that are doing well. In fact, my parents' marriage did well until my dad died. So it's like, I know a lot of good marriages as well. So how come we're so interested in the ones that are not doing well? I once saw comments that there was this rumor at the time that Banky and Adisuwa had an issue. That was back in 2019, or I can't remember the year. I did not have an issue with that rumor at the time, but what caught me at that moment was a girl saying, if Banky and Adisuwa can have an issue, then there is no hope anymore for marriage. And I'm like, what of your mom and dad? I bet you have I bet you have a good family. See, I grew up around a lot of family friends. So my dad had friends who were married and all that. Even though I knew a few people who had terrible, I won't call it terrible, but they had very big issues in their marriage. Like, I knew a lot more who were happy. Like, I knew a lot more of his friends who were like at peace and happy in that marriage. So it's crazy that somehow we can pay more attention to the few that is terrible and ignore the lots that is good. And here's the thing about attention, you must have heard it before. Where attention or focus goes, I don't know, your reality flows. I don't know, I'll find it somewhere and put. What I'm just trying to say is there is so much going on with our minds that it takes a conscious renewal of it to actually reset the mind. I love the mind so much. In fact, I've been reading this book. Even before I started reading the book, I was so interested in the mind. And I've had this book for a while. I had it because, I don't know, someone left it in the house or something. And now I'm seeing that it's like making everything click, because the mind is powerful. The mind has its own life. And I don't think we pay enough attention to the things we do that amplifies or kills our minds. And this morning was just such a revelation of the fact that our minds really control us. You could see so many beauty, but still only focus on what's terrible. That was the same case with like the Pharisees. They were glorifying sin so much. They were so focused on do not do this, that they completely forgot what they were actually supposed to be doing, what they were actually supposed to prioritize. That was why when Jesus' apostles were eating, I can't remember what they were eating or where they were eating, they were like, they are not supposed to do that on a Sabbath or so. And Jesus was like, even David went into the temple to give his men some food and all that. They were so focused on what you should not do on the Sabbath that they were missing, okay, these people are hungry, what should they do? But they're so focused on what should not be done that what they should do is just there passing them by. It's the same thing happening with us in life today. We're so focused on bad news that we don't even see the possibility of good anymore. Like, there is no even opportunity for us to see the possibility of good, because then the bad has like clouded our minds and all of that. Even the prayers we pray, I will not get in an accident. Hey, how about I will go and come back safe and sound? Like, how are we so focused on the things that should not happen that we are not paying attention to the things that we actually want for ourselves? Is what I have come to really learn and understand, and hope you kind of understand too, because how else are we going to change the world? Like, there is so much, do not do this, but we'll have to focus so much on that it's time for a change. Let's try something new. Let's create a new reality. Let's create a reality where things that we actually want are happening, and not things that we do not want to not happen. Look, this is the best way I can put it. You can not want poverty to an extent that you are not poor, but you are not rich as well. I don't want to be poor. There's a difference between not being poor and being wealthy. I hope you understand that. And that is because you are so focused on not being poor that you don't even know what being wealthy looks like. I hope it makes sense. I don't know how best to put it, but God bless you and see you next time, I guess. Bye.